Hey guys, Dan here with Pain for You. Today's topic is going to be, we don't treat specific symptoms with a TMS approach. So I know I've covered this before, but you know what? Every day in many of the TMS groups and even the interactions with me through email, through comments, I see people asking questions, but what about me? What about this? I have a rotator cuff tear. I have a meniscus tear. Will this TMS stuff work for me? Or what if I have TMS and a physical structural problem? And yeah, absolutely something that is extremely common. So to me, that indicates a need to clarify. Just make sure people are understanding what TMS is and what it isn't. TMS is not a treatment to structural problems. Not at all. A TMS approach is, first of all, the understanding that the pain is not caused by whatever structural abnormality may or may not have been identified in your body. Right? And many of us have these abnormalities in our bodies. In my 30s, I had, degeneration in my spine. But that wasn't the cause of the pain, because here I am, 24 years later, I feel better in my 50s than I did in my early 30s. So structure does not cause pain, for the most part, unless you've been in some kind of a traumatic crash or physical trauma, car accidents, falls, you name it. But for the most part, most of us have these structural abnormalities. I think the studies in the New England Journal of Medicine back in the 90s were indicating that, if they did MRIs on 100 people with no evidence of back pain, 2/3 of them, 66 people, would have evidence of bulging or herniated discs at one or more levels, but yet no pain. And don't let this back pain example sway you to say, yeah, but I'm different. I've got something else, right? I don't have back pain, so none of this stuff applies to me. Or I've heard that sometimes pain can move, but mine doesn't move, so this doesn't apply to me. A little airplane going above head. Sorry about the noise. Can never know when something's going to disturb me. So, we don't treat individual symptoms with this TMS approach. We treat TMS. And if the problem is created in the brain, if the pain is created in the brain, then that's where we've got to go after the solution. So people will say, but I have TMS, or I think I have TMS. I'm not sure if I have TMS, because I see everybody's talking about back pain or regular pain, but I've got digestive issues or other things going on. I've got neuralgia, whether it be facial, pelvic. I've got burning numbness, tingling, weakness. So I don't have pain, so this can't apply to me. And all I see is pain, 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 back pain, back pain, back pain. But what about me? I'm different, right? This can't apply to me. Look, I think it's Dr. Schubner working along with the ppdassociation.org, which is this organization of some of the leading experts in the TMS Mindbody psychophysiological disorder, pain disorder world. They're collecting lists of symptoms and doing an analysis. And as soon as I see that that's been released or published, I will be sure to point that to you guys and gals. But initial glances, they've got thousands of potential symptoms in different parts of the body, in different manifestations, different types of sensations. And Dr. Schubner and his partners in the PPD Association are going to kind of go through that and say, is this mind-body? Meaning, is it created by the brain as opposed to by the body, right? Tissue damage will hurt. You cut your hand, it's going to hurt. You look, oh my God, I got it cut. And inevitably, the deeper the cut, the more it's going to hurt. So, I don't believe we need to treat individual TMS symptoms any differently than the others. Whether you've got the run-of-the-mill back pain, which is so common in this space, or any other type of symptom. You know, people go, but I have different pain, so mine's worse. Really? You know, I've had 13 years of back pain. It can be pretty significant, pretty disabling. Spent more hours and days laying on the floor looking up at the ceiling than I care to remember. So to say your pain is worse because it's in a different place, look, comparison doesn't help you get any better. All it does is make you feel more special, unique, and worse, and therefore more of a victim, which means you're basically in a competition for, I'm different. My life sucks more than everybody else's, and therefore I can't get better. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. So we don't treat some of the more disturbing symptoms any different than we do the rest. We teach the brain that we're okay. You know, I talked about this is not a mental illness or a psychological problem, and I talked about how a lot of this is just little mini emotional traumas, physical traumas, things that scared us, things that made us awkward and emotional, and it accumulates, and over time our nervous system gets more and more sensitized, and we become more and more vigilant until we get to the point of hypervigilance, and every sensation, every social cue, every sideways glance at the supermarket is interpreted as danger, and before you know it, you know, we get this reaction in our body, you know, which tends to cause symptoms, whether it be gastrointestinal, immune system issues, pains, burning, numbness, tingling, itchiness, rosacea, rashes, hives, you know, headaches, you name it. And so, you know, I believe that this is a heightened central nervous system as a result of a whole host or a lifetime worth of stresses, emotions, unfelt or unresolved emotions. Yeah, Sarno was right on the money. He said has to do with the repressed emotions. You know, there's debate surrounding that. Is it repressed emotions, or is it just this highly sensitized central nervous system? And my response to anybody who's stuck on that is, don't care. Don't care. It doesn't matter whether or not the brain's trying to protect you from emotions, or from stressors, or from tension, or from social situations, or from movement. Overall, our job is to teach our central nervous system, starting with the brain, which is the control center, that there's no reason to be hypervigilant. We're not in danger. We're okay. We're going to be all right. And so we don't treat individual TMS symptoms. We don't need to. We don't need to isolate, does this or that, how is this different from somebody else, and my pain's worse and therefore it's different and harder to treat. I don't think any TMS symptoms are harder to treat than others. And I will tell you very clearly, the goal is not to find somebody with the identical symptoms as you who got better with this approach so that you can feel comfortable moving forward. And until you do, you're not going to move forward. Okay. Well, if you wait until you find one of the potentially thousands of different manifestations of TMS that matches yours exactly, and they use the TMS approach to treat their symptoms, you could very well be delaying your healing. So what do you do instead? You rule out life-threatening. You've been to the doctors. Clearly, they're very good at being aware of when people are in danger from a life-threatening standpoint. And then we don't go into the medical labels and their diagnoses and this type of neuralgia, that type of neuralgia, this type of symptom, that type of symptom. Here's a medical label. That's not how we determine if something is TMS or not. Somebody asked me the other day, well, what if medication works? And if medication works, what does that say about, TMS? Is it TMS still if medicine works? The answer is that's not how we determine if something is TMS. If medicine works, wonderful. Take advantage of it. That's great. Not everybody gets that result, and some people do, some people don't. Why is it? Who knows? Is it a biological physiological response to the pharmaceutical drug? Maybe. Is it a emotional response to the feeling that, oh, this pill's going to make me feel better? And you do, and the brain feels safer because you've got this drug in you now. And therefore, it responds in kind and turns the pain down. Who knows? But who cares? If you're getting a benefit from it, be kind to yourself. Don't torture yourself. But, as you'll see, whether or not your symptoms respond to medicine is not the determining factor if something is TMS or not. I heard one of the TMS doctors, I don't know, maybe it was Dr. Schubner, say that in some cases, some of our symptoms are caused by stress, a heightened nervous system, TMS in essence. But in some cases, the cure might be medical. So I think the example he gave was if you end up with a certain amount of skin disorders, rashes, perhaps a bacteria in the skin that's causing an infection that, may have been caused by too much stress, therefore a lowered immunity, and therefore this type of a symptom took hold. Well, in that case, a medical treatment makes sense, right? Perhaps you use the medical treatment to get a hold of the bacteria in the skin infection so that it doesn't get worse, while you apply a TMS approach to find ways of lowering your stress and responding to stress differently and in a more healthy, calm, and reassuring way. So look, there's a whole host of things that are going on. My suggestion, once you've ruled out the life-threatening, I'm not dying imminently. Yes, we're all dying. I'm going to be dying hopefully in another, 40, 50 years. I'm 55 now. I'd like to get another 40 out of this planet. My point is, we're not all dying imminently. So rule in TMS. yourpaintest.com. That will take you to the pain test on my website. It's a quick 10-question quiz, so to speak. Submit it, and you'll get a score. Anything over 29 is TMS, meaning mind-body. And if you have a score over 29, you can absolutely get rid of your symptoms. What happens if you're slightly under 29? Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't. It just means that, people who score over 29 have... there's no doubt in my mind that they can get better. Slightly under that, who knows? Sometimes we answer the questions in such a way that, well, I'm not really sure, so I'm going to be conservative and answer a question this way. And look, don't worry about it too much. If you can connect the dots in your life history of symptoms to emotionally traumatic events, if you've had a lot of anxiety in your life, if you've had a lot of these little emotional and physical traumas throughout our lives, and your nervous system gets a little bit more and more alert and vigilant over the years, and then it finally spills over at a particularly tumultuous time in your life, that's a pretty good indicator. But go to the pain test, yourpaintest.com. It'll bring you to my website. You can take that quiz. That's a way to rule it in. You can also go to ppdassociation.org, /symptoms. ppdassociation.org/symptoms. That's the organization run by Dr. Schubner, Dr. Clark, Dr. Hanscom, Alan Gordon, and a number of other folks who are very prevalent in this mind-body space. And on that page, there's 30 questions. The more of them you can answer yes to, the more likely it is that you have this mind-body psychophysiological pain disorder, or symptom disorder, really, because it's not always just pain. So do those assessments, rule in TMS, instead of wondering, asking everybody in the TMS community, I have this, I've been told that, do I have TMS? My symptoms act this way, do I have TMS? Do the assessments, you'll have your answer. I'm not suggesting, I don't want to have people message me and say, hey Dan, does this fit, does this apply to me? But you can get your answer through those assessments. The one on my site, the one at ppdassociation.org/symptoms. And to me, that's the best way to rule in this thing called TMS, or mind-body syndrome. And again, the good news is, if the assessments say TMS, doesn't matter what kind of symptom you have, it doesn't matter at all. The solution is still all the same. So, hope you guys found this useful. It's another beautiful afternoon, nice and crisp. I realize I forgot to do the breathing at the beginning of this video, so my apology. Before you hit stop, or after you hit stop, take 30 to 60 seconds and just do some nice, relaxed breathing. Soak up this information, soak up the clarity, soak up the confidence that you can and will get well. This is not a life sentence to pain or other discomfort. This is truly a stop on your journey. It's a learning opportunity. And it's a teaching opportunity for your brain that this hyper-vigilant nervous system can finally calm down. Because overall, despite what you've learned, despite all of your past emotional, physical, psychological, social traumas, you're still okay right now. So, love you guys and gals. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.